All right, welcome to episode 12 of the Formula Hooligan Podcast.
Hot damn.
We made a dozen.
That's right.
Dozen of these friggin' things.
Yeah, we'll make it to a baker's dozen next time.
Yes.
Oop.
All
Yeah.
right, the first censorship. It is about 15 seconds in.
It's all right.
Excellent.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes, by the time this does come out, it will have been Thanksgiving, most likely.
That's right.
We're recording this on the Tuesday prior because there's no way we're going to do a podcast on Thanksgiving weekend. So,
Nah.
and we're trying to not do these only once a month. Trying to get them to you at a little bit more of a rapid pace.
Yeah, it would be nice. Once every 2 weeks, I think would be.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
What do you think,
As long as we
fans?
got stuff to talk about, you know.
Well, yeah,
There's plenty to talk about right
There
now.
actually is plenty to talk about right now. There's been 2 Formula 1 races since we've last talked.
Mm-hmm.
We've had the most recent race in Qatar, but then we also had Brazil.
Or Sao Paulo. They don't call it the Brazilian GP
that's
anymore.
right. It
Get
wasn't
right.
Yes, it was the Sao Paulo GP.
Yes. I think it was not my favorite race of the year, but it was most impactful. I think it had the most to lose and the most to gain, if that makes sense, for Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought it was a fantastic race, and I'm a Max fan, and he didn't even make it out. Well, didn't win when he could have, but you have to consider how bonkers the entire weekend was. So going into it, Lewis has a 5-place grid penalty.
No, well, let's roll back because there was a sprint race. He started dead last in the sprint race, right?
Right.
Because his new engine.
No.
Oh, no.
So, like I was saying, he started the weekend with a 5-place grid penalty because of the new engine. That was the penalty for the engine.
Yep.
They go through qualifying on Friday, which is weird. I actually watched it that day. It's like, what?
I think I did too, yeah.
And that's when it was discovered that his DRS slot was too wide on one side. So he was disqualified from qualifying, making it so that he had to start from the rear in the sprint. And no matter where he finished in the sprint race, he
Still
would,
received a 5 grid.
correct.
penalty.
He would still take
So he
his 5
started
points.
20th, finished 5th.
I know, yeah.
And then ended up starting 10th in the actual Grand Prix.
Right.
I think is.
But can you believe in the sprint, which is a third of the race distance, he made it all the way up to 5th from last?
I've said it before and I'll say it again because he is the greatest.
Yeah. You've said that before.
That's why it's imperative he wins this championship this year.
We'll see about that.
I mean, it is. We're getting ahead of ourselves. But so the sprint race was great. I think we both agreed we love the sprint race setup.
I like the sprint format. I like it as a special thing. I think next year they're going to bring it into 7 weekends instead of just 3.
Fine. There's like 50 races next year.
Yeah,
anyway,
I can deal with it.
that's-
I don't know if I'd want to see it for every single weekend.
I agree.
Because it is kind of special. It's like, oh yeah, that's a sprint weekend this
Yes.
weekend, you know?
Yeah, it's
You
like
get
a
a little more
blowjob, you know?
excited.
Keep it a little special. Anywho.
Sure, okay. It's not the feature, but it's still pretty nice.
Exactly. Well put. So, where were we now? So this track, 2 DRS zones,
Yes.
2 passing zones, which is nice. Turn 1
More
and
or
then
less.
turn 3 and 4. Is it 3 and 4 is where?
It's turn 4, I think that is.
Turn 4. Okay.
Because you go down the hill.
But
1,
nonetheless,
right.
it's 1 more than most tracks.
Yeah. I mean, a lot
You
of
know?
tracks do have just the one at the end of turn 1 type of thing going on. I love this track. I think.
Yeah, I think most racers do. I like it. I think it's fun to watch. It'd be cool to see live.
I think
it
it
was
would.
like a bowl. Kind of reminds
Right.
me like a
I bet you if you sit high enough on the front stretch,
Exactly.
you could probably see down the rest of the valley
Right.
and watch the race.
right. That's
which
what
would
they
be
claim.
awesome. It'd be
Yeah.
like NASCAR, because in a
Like
NASCAR race.
Formula 1.
Yeah.
Because it's a fairly small track. I think, what did they say it was? Is it like 3.2 miles?
I'm not even
Something
sure
like
it's the
that.
3. It might be shorter.
Maybe 2.2, 2.3. But it's small, relatively compared to Spa and other places. But yeah, it's a great viewing. A lot of history there. And I thought it was Lewis's race to win. I mean, when he came all that way back, it would have been a real shame if he couldn't have pulled it off. Especially the real doozy of that race was when Max turned 4 and pushes him wide, which I'm a Lewis fan, obviously rooting for him. That is a racing incident. They're driving. I can't believe people are screaming like a bunch of babies that there should have been a penalty. At what point this is racing. It's not wrestling. This is not, scripted fake bullshit.
I don't agree.
Really?
Don't agree. But this is funny because you're a Lewis fan. You like it as racing. I'm a Max fan. I thought Max should have gotten penalized.
It would have been different if there was a wall there and it would have, ended Lewis's career or life or, anything of the sort. But there was plenty of room there. Max went off the track too. I mean, he was defending.
Dude, but no, I don't think that's a good enough excuse because then when they go to like places like COTA or whatever, they could just run wide wherever they want as long as they're side by side with somebody. You see the precedent that would set up?
Yeah, no, I do. Man, it's God, but the sport is becoming so clinical and just so perfect that you have to have some of this gray area. It's racing,
But it's not. It's getting
they
worse.
They didn't even make contact too, so keep.
I know they didn't make contact, but to me, it's getting worse than gray area because they're just doing crazy stuff, and it's been inconsistent with what the FIA makes for punishments. I mean, we were talking. I was talking with our group chat in the text messages there, and I brought up the point that in Austria, what was it? Checo and Charles Leclerc were racing side by side with each other for quite a few laps. Twice, Checo ran Charles wide and put him in the gravel a little bit, and stunted his progress, and he got back behind Checo. Came and did it again on another corner. Again, Checo ran him wide and got him in the gravel for a little bit. And guess what? Checo got a 5-second penalty for both actions.
You've already almost changed my mind because by leaving the track, you're not allowed to gain an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And the gap between Lewis and Max was gained in favor of Max. So I guess I could say, in other words, when they're side by side in that instance, Max not only argumentatively blocked him and sent him off the track, but he then gained a bigger gap too. So it's like
he absolutely. Yeah. But here's the thing: So for the longest time, they didn't have the front facing camera available of that incident,
which is weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
One of those things.
Well, it probably wasn't in
conspiracy theory,
Well, it eventually got showed. So when it did eventually get shown, to me it looks like Max was super busy looking in his mirror waiting for Hamilton to come around the outside. Hamilton does zoom around the outside, and by the time Max looks forward to see where he is, it's too late. He hits the brakes. I think he did like an early apex type of thing, if he even did hit the apex. And he just overshot the corner. If he was by himself in the middle of the lane going into that corner, he would have never made it, ever. But he overshoots the corner, and then where it kind of looks like to me he could have gained control and turned left to at least...
He would have lost momentum, though.
No, it wouldn't have been a momentum thing. I think he kind of did do this thing where everybody was asking.
His hands.
No. Everybody was asking, did he open the wheel? Did he open the wheel? No, he never did. He turned in, right, and then kind of understeered. But then when it looked like the car was done understeering, he didn't really try to continue turning to kind of keep it going. It kind of just I think he made the mistake, but then he was like, I need to cover my ass because Hamilton's right there, and did run wider than he probably would have if he wasn't trying to keep somebody away.
It was a well-done penalty, if anything else. I mean, it was...
I think he is a little bit guilty of trying to keep Hamilton at bay, but it also did look like he just blew the corner. Just didn't realize how far down the straight he was. And to me, you're forcing somebody off the track. It's a clear-cut penalty. Why they allowed it? The show. That's my opinion. Because people would bitch, moan, complain, and throw all sorts of if they
good.
did.
I mean, I kind of approve of that decision, because at the end of the day, it's a sport, but it's entertainment.
It is entertainment,
so
dude.
If the product's not entertaining, people aren't going to watch.
No, but you risk going like the NASCAR route and doing too many things to try to bring an entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, NASCAR has tried so much stuff over the years and has not come back on basically any of it. Remember when Formula One tried to do that knockout elimination qualifying thing where every so many minutes the person in last got eliminated?
Yeah.
Remember, they only lasted 2 qualifying sessions because everybody realized, wow, this fucking sucks.
It's gimmicky.
And they got rid of it immediately.
Right.
And it was awesome. But NASCAR has been doing the thing where they introduce some new gimmick once every 3 or 4 years, and they just keep that gimmick in the race from here on out. They introduced the chase format. Chase format didn't really piss me off much. I mean, you take the last 12 races or whatever it is, you make it a championship of their own, of the top 12, and then it was the top 16, whatever it is. And those race, for the championship for the end of the year. Then they introduced stages and the playoffs. I think the playoffs came first. The playoff thing nobody likes because now it's down to 3 races, and 4 are eliminated in those blocks of 3. And then the last race, whoever finishes ahead of who out of those 4 that are left is the winner of the championship, which is bullshit to me in racing world.
Don't make it like football, baseball, basketball. It's not going to
Right.
work.
Then they introduced restrictor plates in 2020 to every track over a mile long to try to make the racing closer because if they don't have to brake going into corners, well, they'll never separate from each other. So they just draft each other like Daytona at every track that's more than a mile long.
Right.
And they've kept that. Even though nobody likes stages, nobody likes the playoff format, nobody likes the restrictor plate shit. Nobody.
Right, so who are they appeasing at the end of the day?
I don't know. I think they're trying to appease to people who aren't into racing.
I think it's
they're trying to get the ball and stick people into watching racing.
They're trying to grow the audience because I think some of the NASCAR fans, I don't want to say dying off, but it's sort of like the same problem baseball has,
What's the problem that baseball has?
It's a old sport that people either get it and like it. It's very similar to motorsports in general. So people either understand motorsports and appreciate it or you don't. Same thing with baseball. That's why they've been so apprehensive about making changes to the sport to speed it up or do this or that, because all the purists say, no, you're destroying the sport, which I don't really give a shit about baseball, but I get where they're coming from because I see the correlation.
Right.
So I'm in favor of them keeping baseball the way it is and just the fuck with it. But the problem is if your fan base dies off or they're saying the younger crowd just needs constant stimulation, they need, changes, even if they're for the worse. It's just not good long-term for the sport.
I don't think so.
The best thing long-term for a sport, for baseball, for motorsports, for anything, is having personalities out there. That's what it is. That's why Formula 1 is doing so well right now because of Drive to Survive with all the people give a shit.
Because we get to get into, the behind the scenes of the personalities, which is friggin' awesome.
Right.
That show, we talk about it being gimmicky and every time.
It is all fabricated.
There's some fake drama thrown in there. But, you get to see what these dudes do on their weekdays when they're not at the track or, in the garage areas when they are at the track.
Yeah.
It's awesome because of that. And the drama they build up in the show is enough to make anybody like it. My guitarist buddy who plays guitar in our band, he just...
Oh, is this the guy that was going to come over and watch?
Yeah. He doesn't watch or didn't watch racing. Still doesn't even watch it. But he binged all of Drive to Survive, like all 3 seasons.
That's crazy to me because I wouldn't binge a baseball Netflix series, no matter how good it was.
You don't know that, though. I don't know if it's engrossing enough. Maybe you would. You got your screensaver going.
Oh, yeah.
This game again. Woo!
Unbelievable.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just keep fall up there.
That's right. It's like a golf course. It's nice. Actually, you know what? You can make that a nice little kart track. Huh? If you squint hard enough, you know what it kind of looks like?
What's that?
So the sound wall would be right over here. And then the big bank
Making
turn.
me sad.
Doesn't it, though?
You're making me sad.
That looks like Middleborough or whatever the hell that town was. East Bridgewater?
Yeah, East Bridgewater. F1 Outdoors.
But all
right, so do you see what I'm saying about the argument of entertainment versus sport, though?
Yeah.
See, the thing about keeping a sport, keeping up the integrity of the sport will bring in fans. Maybe it won't be the young kids, or maybe it won't be like this demographic that every single entertainment, company looks for, but you keep the sport intact. You know what I mean? When Max is allowed to understeer and just drive Hamilton way, like 20 feet off track, and everybody's just like,
it looked cool as shit, though, didn't it?
That was pretty cool. Let's do nothing about it. You're not keeping up the integrity of the sport, the integrity of the rules, and then it's not a sport anymore. Now it's the WWE.
God damn it, though. The problem is, in the current state, these cars, it's very difficult to pass.
I understand that.
So
I understand that, but that's next year's.
Right.
Next year is going to be the solution for that. So everybody says.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm the guy that likes to watch football, and if there's a little bit of pass interference, don't throw the damn flag. I want to let him play. So
I can understand that to a degree.
And you know what was cool about it was that he kept trying to pass Max, Max kept holding him off, and then what made it so great was finally he got him on the same corner because he had a little bit more momentum. He played it right going through turn one. You know what I mean? Hung back a little bit.
Yeah,
got more of a momentum rather than staying in the dirty air and trailing him through there. He had a much better run all out to turn 4.
Right.
And then he made it easy.
And Max, so I was listening to the BBC F1 podcast that they have, the Checkered Flag podcast. Julian Palmer, remember him? He was a Renault driver.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys on that podcast. He's an excellent F1 analyst, a much better analyst than he was driver, unfortunately. But he made the point, and I noticed it during the race too, that Max would take the middle line going into turn 1, like even when Lewis was behind by like a second still, like doing the defensive line when he was still way behind. And I think he was screwing up his entry into turn 1, which would just reel Hamilton in.
But why was he doing that?
Because he was basically trying to defend, but like he was doing it
early,
he was
real
just
early.
Well, he was just doing it when Hamilton had no chance of passing.
Doesn't he have a delta on his screen too? He must know the gap.
No, they don't have a delta.
Really?
Each car, I don't think. No.
God damn it, iRacing! Why do they give me that data in the?
Because you don't have a team of guys to tell you. I mean, every once in a while they always tell him on the radio, gap to Hamilton, 0.5 seconds or whatever it is.
Yeah, it is interesting too when you hear him sometimes over the radio, like, what lap am I on, guys? Lewis, you won the race. It's like, the hell? They got these fancy steering wheels and they don't.
Yeah, I think they would have a lap counter on there.
I would think so.
I wouldn't see why not.
I mean, now I feel better about myself when I'm karting, and I don't know what the lap it is or anything.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
You just wait for that white flag. Oh, okay, 1 to go. Here we go.
So you see Mike out there pointing, get off the track.
Yeah, then that's your last lap.
Exactly.
Oh, shit. Last lap is either white flag or black flag. Which one are you going to get?
So anyway, Lewis goes on to win the race.
Yep.
Unbelievable comeback. Great story.
Yep. Max is in second. So now
and then
Hamilton.
Bottas finished third.
Yeah.
He blew the start. I don't know if it was just.
Yeah, he did.
He's been struggling a bit.
Did he? I think he lost it in turn 4.
Turn 1 right away. Remember Max? Because Max started.
No, you're right. Max got him in 1.
In this race. Yeah, he got him in turn 1, and now Ferrari outdid because Lando had a incident with Carlos Sainz, which is funny because I could just picture their conversation later. You know, Lando. Yep. I'm not even going to try to do his voice, but I mean, poor Lando thought he had him passed and comes back and gets it flat.
You know what? Well, that incident was a little weird to me because I'm not sure why Lando moved in. I don't think it's almost as if he expected Carlos to also move in with him and he didn't.
Because he was kind of off the track to make the pass too.
Yeah.
But to his defense, he had 2 tires still on the track.
Right.
And where else is he going to go? I mean, you can't go into the back of the guy, so.
No.
It's just, that's a tight turn 1.
It's
on a
it's
long
like a
straight.
funneling turn 1.
And it's uphill. It's just a crazy start. I liked it though. I don't know. It was it worked out, I thought. And all the drivers commented they actually enjoyed starting uphill. Better traction. Remember they were all commenting about that?
Okay.
And Lewis or anybody in the back there had an advantage because they would get, slipstream up the back straight.
Yeah, even though it's the initial start is not the longest run to turn 1, but every lap after that, it's a massive run all the way to turn 1.
Oh, so you know what I was saying to you during that race, which every time they go by gives me a little, is the pit entry there. One day there's going to be there maybe it's going to be a terrible accident though.
There's it's been close. There's been accidents right before then, and that whole entire front stretch section comes uphill, kind of blind at some spots. There was one year, I think it was one of the Force Indias, like Adrian Sutil. You remember that guy, Adrian Sutil?
No.
He was a Force India driver. I think it was him. I think it was in the rain. Lost it in the rain going up the hill and then whacked it against the outside wall. Just a total yard sale of car parts all over the place. And like people still coming up the hill at 160 miles an hour and just like, geez, and they had to stop the race then. It was like 2 laps to go.
Yeah. I wonder if that's a tire wall. Because there's a big black blob right there before the pit entry. You notice that? It's got to be like one massive tire wall.
That little section's been redone a few times. Like it used to be. I feel like the racing line used to be even more
closer to it.
To pit entry.
It did. You're right. Maybe they've. I didn't hear him comment, but maybe they've required them. Giving penalties for off track. Maybe they moved the track boundaries.
Maybe.
Because you're right. It used to be like because those Formula One cars, there's no need for them to track out there.
No.
Way out. There's no need. It's
nope.
flat out with, you could have the flap open and just have no problems.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now Ferrari bested McLaren in that one because Daniel is still in the back. So
Dan in the back, Norris with his mistake.
Yep. Perez, I think, came in like 4th, I want to say.
Yeah, he never caught Valtteri. So yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So anyway, now we've moved our way to Qatar.
Qatar for the very first time.
Yeah, which under the lights looks cool. Kind of looks like a video game. The drivers all seem to like the track.
You know what? So
I don't know.
I've been getting into MotoGP this year.
Thanks, Rich, right?
Yes, thanks, Rich. And thanks, Richard Cotter Francis, for giving me his MotoGP pass on the internet there. That's how I was able to watch all the races.
Talk about exciting, right? That sport doesn't need any gimmicks. It's a death trip the whole time.
No, it needs.
It's unbelievable.
It needs zero gimmicks. It is pure racing.
It's pure adrenaline. The whole time.
There's 10 guys who could win the race every week. It's crazy stuff.
It is, yeah. I gotta tune in.
Regardless, I got a little bit familiar with the track from watching the racing in MotoGP this year. They did 2 races there at the beginning of the year. I bought the MotoGP game for my computer.
Really?
So I've actually
Is this the one where you lean? Like in VR, do you lean?
No,
There's one that's out that you lean. No, okay.
No, this is with the controller and shit.
Oh, you just lean the controller.
No, it just sticks.
Jesus. Boring.
But now I've driven it around in a game, so I'm familiar with the layout. And like I liked it in the game, and when I heard that the F1 cars are going there, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be cool because there's a few sections where it's multiple apexes, and with the F1 cars, they can take them at like full. What was it? It's like turn 12, 13, 14. There's like a quadruple apex right-hander where like depending on what car it is, they can just about take all of them flat out, and it's all at like 160, 170 miles an hour, and it looks awesome. And even though it's kind of a parking lot track where there's all sorts of runoff area and whatnot,
it's punishing though.
It's punishing because the curbing would actually damage the underfloor wings and all sorts of stuff of the cars if they went too far away from the curbing. You know what I like?
It damages them, but it's not going to kill anyone like sausage curbs do.
Yeah, it's not going to launch your car in the air.
Right.
So
it was, you're right. It was a really entertaining race. I mean, the race for the number 1 spot was boring, right?
It was.
I mean, it was not a parade race, but Lewis, great start, game over.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it was his from the start.
But everything else was exciting. I think 5 guys ended up DQing because of tire failure or something, or due to tire failure,
well,
shakes.
It kept happening towards the end there.
Yeah, yep. Oh, at the very end, yeah. That's where you give all the credit in the world to Fernando Alonso for making the one-stop work.
Yeah, slightly.
He stayed off the curbs. That's what you had to do. So
Maybe.
It showed you if they just stayed off the curbs, you could have made one-stop work.
Yep.
Lando would have been in the running there for 3rd. I felt bad. They pulled him in. He didn't even have a puncture. But they must have. You know what it must have been? Same situation as Bottas. Damage done to the floor plan. Floor plan.
Oh, the floor plan's been damaged.
God damn it!
Gonna have to draw a new one.
Well, you know what I'm saying? It's like
yeah.
It's had to have been some damage like that because there was a lot of that going on. And then what was it? Schumacher was down. Tsunoda was down, I think, due to tire failure. There was at least 5 or 6 guys.
Dude, I've had such a whirlwind of work days over the last few days that
It's all right. Well, let's make it up. No one knows.
I'm struggling to remember the race events.
No, but I mean that's what it was. It was more or less towards the last 7 laps of the race. There was like 3 punctures, and it really did make for an exciting mid-pack race.
Yeah.
So it was a good race.
Well, there was a lot of punctures in the race because the initial one was Valtteri. He went 30 some laps on his mediums, didn't work. Left front goes down. Yeah. He had to bring it all the way back into the pits from like halfway through the lap. So he had to bring it quite some time.
That was cool to watch. I like that. You know what's funny? I'm surprised in a way they haven't tried to like neuter that and be like, it's too dangerous. They force you to like basically stop your race or something.
That should never be a thing.
I agree, but dude,
that should never be a thing.
In this day and age, everything's about, being safe. I'm surprised, but it was cool watching. I mean, he was all over the road. Like
he was.
You could see everyone trying to pass him like, where the f*** is he going? Because I mean, he had no left tire.
And this is what brought Alonso into a comfy 3rd place because Valtteri was in 3rd when this happened. Or he was He was on track to be third anyway. I think Valtteri
Yeah.
still had to make a pit stop. Obviously, he was on his starting tires. But I think even if he came out of the pit stops, he might have ended up behind Alonso, but he would have fresh tires as opposed to Alonso, probably catch him, probably take third.
Right.
And then it would be a race between Valtteri and Checo for third. It didn't happen. Bottas blows his tire. Alonso passes him while he's got the blown tire, has the sparks go over the cockpit. That was a cool shot.
It was very Hollywoody. I made that word up.
Hollywoody.
Hollywoody. Didn't it seem like that's going to make a really good Netflix show on that race? You know, with all the camera angles.
If they show it. Dude, there's so much stuff to cover for this year. I'm not even sure they're going to make all the exciting stuff.
I know, because there's a lot of drama
season.
between the wings and just everything going on. There's definitely a lot. And there's so many races. I don't know how they're going to do it.
We can't forget that there was drama before the start of this race, where in qualifying...
Oh, that's right. Max started a 5-grid penalty, right?
Yep. Max got a 5-place grid penalty for ignoring double yellow flags.
Yeah. Yep.
Valtteri Bottas gets a 3-place grid penalty for avoiding single waving flags. Waving yellow flags.
When they're ignoring, I'm assuming it's because they didn't either slow to the 40% reduced speed or something, or what was it?
I think they just have to show
notice.
any effort of slowing down and not going balls to the wall in that section.
So do you think that they just didn't see it, or do you think they are purposely just screw this?
No. If you watch the broadcast, right, they usually show the live flag status in the top left above the the position counter, and it went yellow, then nothing, then yellow, then nothing, then yellow.
Okay, I did see
then
that
nothing.
actually, yeah.
And it was just like, what is going on? And I bet you, the teams are seeing the same shit. So it was because Gasly ran over his wing after it popped off, blew a tire.
Oh, right.
And he's going down the front stretch super slow, but right against the pit wall, which is way off of the racing line. And at the time that Max crossed the finish line, at least when I was watching it, there was no yellow flag. Now, was he in Sector 3? They split it up by sectors. Was he in Sector 3 when the incident happened? And he didn't show any signs of slowing when the first initial, flag, no flag came out? I don't know. And he didn't slow down, and that's why he got some kind of penalty. I think that's it. And it seems like Valtteri was also in it. And then there was one more, wasn't it? Like Sainz or somebody got a penalty.
Charles Leclerc.
Was it Leclerc?
I think it was Leclerc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's funny. You don't hear anybody really question it, though. I mean, it's a big deal, especially for Max.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay.
You know what Christian Horner said? Christian Horner said, I think there was a flagger just throwing the yellow flag, not instructed by the FIA. He was just doing it. He saw Gasly come around the corner and just went without being told in the headphone. That's what his theory was.
Jesus. I mean, who knows? We'll never know. But, I mean, that makes a massive shift. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the race could have been it might have been a good race for number 1 there.
I don't know, dude, because Max got to second place within like 5 laps.
He just had nothing else in it.
No, he didn't. He had that, quarter a second
isn't that
to
weird?
second.
So do you think the new engine swap for Mercedes has really helped Lewis? Because he's on a roll.
A lot of people have hypothesized that's, yeah.
Better check that motor.
Well, everybody, especially Red Bull, thinks that they're doing something funny with their rear wing right now, and that's why they have top speed. Who knows?
You know what? If they are, kudos, because that's racing.
Yeah.
I wish we could get back more into that, where,
the gray areas?
The gray areas.
Within the rules of building the cars?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like the best one you ever told me was in NASCAR when they filled the side skirts full of lead or something. And
the chassis rails,
They hit a button, and then there were just all these marbles would come rolling down the track. Like, fucking brilliant.
Yep. Stuff like that is friggin' awesome. But the thing is, it's been decades and decades of rule making that, things like that, it's harder to get away with.
It is, but when they interview these guys that are in it, they will tell you they always come up with something, which is cool.
Yeah, I remember one time listening to a podcast. I think it was Dinner at Racers, and it was Andy Petrie for the guest, who was a former crew chief. And at Daytona, they had to run a certain angle rear spoiler. Like everybody had to run the same angle. And he was like, "This sucks because if you can flatten it out, then you go faster. It's Daytona; you're flat out all the time." So he wanted to figure out a way to be able to flatten the spoiler when they were running, but have it so that it was at the correct angle when they were still, and it would be inspected. And he's trying to figure out, like, what do we do? I can set up a switch in the cockpit, but what do we make it so that it comes down? And then he saw somebody's antenna, come up when they start their car, and he's like, and he put some kind of similar actuator in the rear spoiler, and he pulled it off. He made it so that his driver, when driving along the track, just hits a button, and all of a sudden that spoiler just goes whoop, like DRS.
That's amazing. I mean, it's exactly the type of thinking you need to win.
Yeah, and those types of stories are really fun. But like I said, so many of those guys have been doing stuff like that, and a lot of racing these days is really getting closer and closer to spec, which is unfortunate. But yeah, it's harder to get away with that.
Yeah,
kind of stuff
what is
now.
this notion though that racing has to be 100% equal vehicles? Like,
because
it's got to be a driver's race. Like, why can't it also be mechanics, engineers, power plants? I mean, you name it. The BOP and everything is just kind of, I don't know.
Because back in the day, people would win races by half a lap, and then
But they still are in Formula One by bus lengths. I mean,
not all the time. I mean, you have, as much as people love to talk about the glory days, of decades back, and how amazing the cars were in the 80s and early 90s and all that kind of stuff. Nobody goes back, looks at the statistics of the deltas between the cars when they finished, and especially in the years of like the McLaren MP4-4 in 1988. I think between Prost and Senna, they won 15 out of the 16 races. Could you imagine that if Mercedes won all the races but one? It happened, dude. And you would have like finishes where only like 4 cars were on the lead lap, maybe. And it happened in sports cars. That's why sports cars have, all these BOP rules now, is to try to make it all even.
I guess you're right. I think it has to do with, we just look back at history when it comes to sports and stuff, and we just kind of relish in it, but it's probably...
And you could argue that, again, it's an entertainment versus sport type of thing.
Right.
The reason BOP exists is to create the closer racing because it's entertaining. And it's not up to the manufacturers anymore to make, when, it used to be, like, think about like Ford versus Ferrari. When they made the Ford GT, right? They didn't make the street car and then said, let's make the race car like the street car. No, they were doing shisty shit where they had to make a street car. You had to have so many versions of your production street car to make the race car. But the entire time, they were thinking about the race car and just making the street cars to accommodate the rules because they knew that car was going up against a Ferrari.
But isn't that also what Ferrari did? I mean, it's the same stuff.
All of them. That's what they were all doing.
Ferrari
they were
only built street cars because they went racing. That was the only reason. Supposedly.
Potentially so, yeah. I mean, I think that's what Ferrari was all about. The old man Ferrari was all about going racing.
Mr. Enzo.
Mr. Enzo Ferrari. But that's how it was back in the day. But from what I can tell, over time, it's become make the street car, we'll enter it, we'll make our own, race car version of the street car.
Right.
And, yeah, we'll try to make it smart to where it's going to be a competent race car, but BOP is going to save our ass no matter how good the car is or not.
True, but that's why Ford nailed it recently when they've re-released the Ford GT a couple times because BOP takes like a year to catch up. So they built that Ford GT of the most recent one, whatever it was, 5 years ago.
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah, when they built it, the street car was like they literally built the race car first. Then they're like, okay, now we'll just make it street legal. And then the BOP didn't catch up that year, and they remember that's why they exited. They won, they dominated, and then they quit and left. That's why a lot of people were like, "Oh, they can't really win long term."
Not after a year.
No, they were winning for 3 years with it.
No, dude, the story that
I'm talking about the newest one.
I know, and I remember watching it happen, dude. When they came to Daytona in 2016, they were junk, they were garbage, and they entered the car into Le Mans, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they started out.
And then they won Le Mans in 2016. However many, 70 years later after they won it in 66 or 60.
Right. It marked the anniversary, 40 years.
Right. No, it's not 40.
50.
No, it's not 50.
Well.
Ooh, let's do some math. I think it is 50 years.
Okay.
Oh, this is not a math.
2015, right? To
2016 to 66.
That's
So yeah, 50 years.
Right.
So it was the 50-year anniversary of winning for the first time in Le Mans Oh my God, that was painful, huh? This episode of the Formula Hooligan Podcast is brought to you by Newport Propane.
Wait. Now, Alex, does anyone even use propane anymore?
Do you live under a rock, Charles?
Well, I know you can grill with it.
Uh-huh.
But can you cook on the stove with it?
Yes.
Heat the house with it?
Of course.
Warm up the pool?
Mm-hmm.
Fuel my flamethrower so I can melt snow with it?
All right, slow down, Charles.
Well, what about when the lights go
A
out?
propane generator will do you right.
Okay. So who would I talk to if I want propane in my house?
Newport Propane, of course. They've been family-owned and operated for over 60 years now, so I'd say they know a thing or two about propane installation and delivery. Not to mention, they'll come out and give you a free estimate on any propane systems you're thinking about adding to your home.
Sounds good to me. How do I get in touch with them?
You can call them at 401-847-6878 or visit them online at newportpropane.com. That's 401-847-6878 or newportpropane.com. Newport Propane, proudly serving the Rhode Island area for over 60 years. But yeah, the way they got the car to be good at Le Mans, I bet you, was to be shitty in Daytona and be like, oh my God, look how bad we are.
That's what it was. You're right. That
Yeah.
was the whole story.
Yeah.
So they could lower the BOP. I don't know what's
Right.
going on with this, but yeah. Anyway, boy, we went way off topic into sports car racing, but there's been a lot of it. We had 24 hours of Sebring recently, right?
There's
There was
no
the-
such thing as 24 hours.
12
of
hours.
Sebring.
Sorry.
Tw-
What was just going on at Sebring?
I don't know. Sebring's like back in like March, dude.
Maybe I'm thinking of.
What?
No, there
what
was
are you
there was a
thinking
Fanatec series down in Sebring. I'm telling you, I was watching
of? A
it.
Fanatec series?
Yeah, it's like a GT3.
Oh
Didn't Sam send us the link? Remember that?
no, Petit Le Mans.
No, Petit Le Mans was one, but no, there was another one too.
There wa-
What was? I'm telling you, it was rain delayed too. Remember?
No.
Dude.
I've-
Sebring had a race this past weekend that was rain delayed for like an hour.
Okay.
And it was either a 12 or a 24-hour race.
Okay.
Anyway,
How'd it go?
I stopped watching when the rain delayed. But it was so cool. The whole track.
You're confusing the shit out of me, Charlie.
I know. We're not even drinking. So
No.
the track was flooded, though. It reminded me a lot of like back when like Carroll Shelby was, racing. Remember that famous race when the track was all flooded? I think it was in Ford versus Ferrari. Anyway,
Okay.
I don't know. We're getting too off topic.
Yes. Regardless, we'll go back to Qatar. So yeah, there was the drama of those guys losing all those positions in qualifying, but the race goes on. Like you said, racing for first place wasn't good. Racing for third place was pretty cool. And I liked watching Checo race his way up from. Oh yeah, the big story with him was he didn't even make Q3. He qualified 11th, which was insane. He's in the fastest car of the year basically, and he qualifies 11th.
Wasn't he instructed? No, it was Gasly was instructed to let Max by. Remember in Qatar?
Yeah. They even told him don't open your DRS, and he doesn't. You can watch him going down the straight. Gasly had the ability to put the DRS on because he was right up against Alonso, but they were like, no, if you want a chance at the 2023 Red Bull ride, you better not do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Which he'll probably never take. Everybody likes to say he'll probably go to Alpine at some point. And if I was him, I wouldn't go back in the Red Bull car. Yeah, exactly. Just like
He's a good driver. I think he deserves better.
Yep.
So the manufacturer's race though is close, obviously. So Max right now is up by 8 points, but
only 8.
But Mercedes is up by about 5 points, something like that, or it might even be even closer.
I don't know if it is closer because Mercedes has done ever since. Red Bull kind of ate into Mercedes' lead in Mexico, but the last 2 races at Brazil and now Qatar, you know what? I don't think Mercedes had the upper hand because Valtteri didn't finish too well after his puncture in Qatar.
Yeah, so there wasn't a switch. I think Mercedes has always been up ahead. They have, as a manufacturer, that's theirs to lose because they've been up all year. The big race, though, is third. I was thinking, not that long ago, it was McLaren, who I'm rooting for, but Ferrari is...
No, they've had a slump.
They have, but I was looking at their wins and podiums. McLaren's got quite a bit more. It's just Ferrari's more consistent. McLaren's like they'll win a race on a podium and then 10th and 11th.
Yeah.
Well,
they
Ferrari's
screw
just
themselves.
been sneaky getting up into the third.
They have been, dude, because I don't
you don't even hear about them this year.
Right, exactly. Right? But then all of a sudden in Brazil they finished I think 5th and 6th, and then I think they did something similar in Qatar.
But it's strange to me too because you don't even hear about Charles Leclerc anymore, and he's kind of a marketable guy. I mean,
yeah, he's not the wonder boy at Ferrari that he used to be in 2019. But it's
well,
also
that's because he won in Monza or whatever. Remember,
he won
Monza. That's what got him
He
to
won-
be a hero. And
right. He won Spa.
he might have peaked.
I hope not. I want to see
I
more
know,
like
but
it.
Carlos Sainz is fun.
Carlos
he's funny.
Sainz is fun, but yeah, it's only because the Ferrari has not been the stellar Ferrari that it should be for the last 2 years.
Maybe they're just waiting, like I was gonna say Haas, but not Haas anymore. But maybe they're like Aston Martin. They're waiting for next year, you know. And all these guys that are sort of, I don't want to call it sandbagging, but if you're not hearing much about them, you got to wonder what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see. So I think you already said it. You think Lewis has got the steam to win it. I still think it's going to be
There's
tough.
definitely a momentum thing going on, and if
There is.
that car is all of a sudden not only just really fast in a straight line, but it seems like Hamilton is like really in tune with the car now. You know,
I think he's just kicked it up a notch. To be
yeah,
honest with you.
yeah, he really has, and it's crazy to think about how that could happen in racing. And like I think about that, like if I don't know what kick it up a notch would mean for me in racing. Like I don't know what I would have to discover to all of a sudden go tenths faster a lap than I used to go a week ago. You know what I mean? It's kind of nuts that
I almost feel like, don't you think like racing is just you're either on or off. Like I don't think you go out there and you're like, I'm gonna give it 9/10. But then again, that's part of the sport. I mean, you got to manage the tires, so they're used to that. I mean, Lewis is obviously very good at that. But his late braking too has been like, I don't know, he is on another level.
He's on form right now.
It's very smooth.
He's on really good form right now. So, I mean, they're going to Saudi Arabia, so they say. Who knows if that track's even going to be done next week?
Yeah. So with 2 races left.
Yeah.
So where is it at? They're going to Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia, Jeddah.
Mm-hmm. And then where's the final race?
Final race is Abu Dhabi, like it has been. And both tracks have, I don't know if you've seen a lap of Jeddah. They have virtual laps of it. It's a lot of high-speed corners and some straights, and that
Lewis is going to win.
Yeah, it's the way it's looking.
Yeah.
And then Abu Dhabi has its fair share of straights. They just they're changing one section of the track. I don't know why. At the end of the backstretch, there's like a little left, right, left chicane that they got rid of. And now it's just a gradual left. I don't even know what.
Yeah,
that's
these tracks towards the end of the year, I don't know much about them.
Well, all the classics are done.
Right.
You know, Interlagos was the last classic track. Now it's all these. You know.
Ooh, Interlagos. We've called it 3 different names now.
I think it's like Jose Carlos Pace something.
I don't know.
Circuit. I don't know.
But so it's shaping up to be pretty exciting. I mean, you couldn't have written the script any better.
There's a legitimate chance that depending on how they finish in Saudi Arabia,
they're tied, and it's going to go to Max.
No.
Right?
Well, it'll be tied going into the last race.
Right.
So after next week's race, going into Abu Dhabi, they could be.
But at the end of the day, if they're tied
difference.
Points at the end, it goes to whoever had the most wins
victories,
or podiums or
the most victories, which I think would go to Max at this point.
At this point, but
I think Max has 10 wins this year, something crazy like that.
Yeah. So if Lewis even wins the next 2, I think. I don't even know. They did after the race. They did the math. You know, all the different odds and chances. It just made my head explode. I can't even add 1965 plus.
I think I saw what it was. I think if Max wins and gets fastest lap, and Lewis finishes like 9th place or something. It might not even be that far down.
7th, I think, is what it showed. But
yeah, then Max wins the championship in Saudi Arabia. Be a crazy place to celebrate that.
Yeah, it's just strange. I don't know.
It's all strange. Nobody really likes the whole idea of going racing in Saudi Arabia, but
I don't know. I guess cheap oil. I don't know.
It is a weird topic because like the reason people don't want to go is because these countries don't have like human rights down at all.
Yeah, it is kind of peculiar, especially when Formula One's all about rights and.
Yeah, we race as one.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah, it's not really being followed if they want to go race in these, Saudi tracks.
I'm a little concerned that they're focusing a lot on that stuff because they just focus on the sport. Like their big thing now everywhere is it's the most efficient motor in the world. Well, no shit, you're the most advanced $1 million program.
I'm excited about that, and I'll tell you why. Because they recently put out this initiative that by 2025 or 26, they're going to try to be a fully sustainable sport. For real? Like, I don't think so.
But what does that actually mean?
The idea of fully sustainable means that, they're not wasting. How could you define that? Basically, you know how like when you
like zero carbon footprint, is that what they mean?
Yeah, more or less.
Net neutral. I mean,
yeah,
but it doesn't. That's not possible because you got to look at all the venues. That's just such a bullshit. It's all marketing.
It's
just stupid.
Somehow make it so that they just like they're not polluting, but like they will because they're still gonna be flying planes to every
exactly.
Regardless,
right?
You should be excited about that initiative only because they're trying
keeps ICE, internal combustion engines
Correct.
going. Is that what you're getting at?
That's what they're trying to get to. They're trying to make it so that they can show that the internal combustion engine can remain relevant
Thank God.
and might actually do better than what electric power is able to do.
Yeah.
As far as like you still have to mine for electric power for batteries.
Yeah, and then you still got to charge the stuff either with. I mean, there's a lot into it.
Sure.
But here's the thing: motorsports, regardless of street cars, motorsports.
Yes.
Not electric motor, but they need to have a real motor. It's just the way it is. I think though, whatever happened to that McLaren being acquired by Audi and Porsche and VW?
It was bullshit. I haven't heard anything about it since.
It's weird though because remember, well, you weren't there, but me and Ismar were talking to one of the guys at McLaren who travels with him. I was telling you.
Oh, at the Newport Concourse.
And he was like, dude, he was being pretty genuine. He was talking about how like synthetic fuels are going to keep Formula One going at least another decade with internal combustion engines, and probably beyond. So I think if we can get to that point, then then it's ball game. If we can make our own fuel, what, right? Isn't that? I don't know how that in theory it makes sense to me, but I don't know how that works. Like how do you? Well, you're not burning. How do you burn a synthetic? It just right. It kind of makes.
Well, all right. So neither of us.
Elon Musk couldn't figure it out. Then why is it? Yeah, we need to get some engineers to.
Neither of us are chemical engineers and actually know what to talk about with this. So.
All right then.
I don't know. Maybe we move on to the next topic. You have sim racing topics you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, we're real high tech here. I don't know what's going on. Why don't you sing a song for us?
Sing us the song. You're a piano man.
Apparently the TV shut off.
We're gonna watch. Those watching on YouTube.
Face.
Oh, look at Charlie's face. What was that like in high school?
Hey.
There's the logo.
All right, so.
Yes, you have topics you want to bring up about sim racing.
Yeah, there's some sim racing. It's wintertime. Look at unless you're going to what is it called? Simcraft? The 24 hours? Yeah, the karting race. Is that happening?
No, it got pushed back to March.
Oh well, it didn't get canceled.
I told you about that in the last podcast.
I forgot. Anywho,
okay.
Well, that sucks. But anyway, my point was there's not a lot of real racing going on in the Northeast at the moment.
No.
So obviously into sim racing. I think everybody is probably that listens or watches or
a good chunk. There's some people who aren't into the sim racing thing who I wish would get into it, such as
some of the older guys.
Like Rich Hemingway and Rick Brown, and there's a few others out there that haven't really.
It would make Friday night racing when we start that back up officially be a little more fun.
It would make it more fun if those guys. I feel like Rick would be hilarious.
Yeah,
he's described sim racing. He was on our podcast and he talked about it. This was the night that you left Canaan. And he took over for you with David.
Yeah, shit. What did he say?
He was saying that he hates it currently only because he sits down and tries to do it and can't make a lap because he doesn't have the regular
it's true.
Gs.
So the thing is you have to separate. It is real racing, but you have to completely relearn how to drive.
Based off of two senses.
Yeah, exactly.
Your sight and your sound.
They claim, I don't have any of that stuff, motion and all that. They claim that, eventually I'm sure they could figure it out with enough money, right? They have simulators. Dude, hold on. Those $1 million simulators like the Formula One drivers use?
Yeah.
It whatever.
Doesn't. I don't care what that does.
So you still don't think it's going to replicate
5 Gs under braking? No.
I don't know, man. I've been on some rides at Disney World that did it pretty good.
If it did 5 Gs of braking, it would literally have to back up at 5 times the speed of gravity.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. So anyway, to Rick Brown's point, you just have to say to yourself, the racing is real, but the way in which you go about it is not. You might be turning a wheel and pushing a brake and a gas and a clutch or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, your reaction time needs to be good.
Yes.
I mean, like, you're fast in real life. You're fast on a sim.
Try to be.
Clearly, not everybody is.
No, there's definitely dudes who are good at one and not the other. On both sides. I've seen guys that are good at sims. They really can't get their head around racing in reality.
Which is weird to me. Because don't you find it much easier in real life? I wouldn't use the word easier, but much more intuitive.
Easier might be the word, only because you do have all your senses. Yes. You have all your peripheral vision to be able to work with, and you have a better sense of where you are.
One thing. Fear in real life can hinder you and make you go slower, where in a sim, crash, just hit reset.
Exactly.
Which there's people in iRacing and everywhere else that are claiming like they should make it so you're penalized, like literally you have to like pay to.
Oh, I've heard that argument.
Anyway,
it's so dumb.
We'll get into the news. So Assetto Corsa Competizione, I was just telling you, I don't really play it anymore. It feels a little bit like arcade game to me. That's kind of a simulator, but they're going through hoops to make it feel better. So I guess they got there's some live event going on tonight. Rob would appreciate this. They're unveiling the new M4 Gt3, which I fucking love this car. I know it's the back. I'm sure they're showing the back of it because most people think it's hideous. I love it. Like if I can find a way, I am buying the M4 street car. Like really? Oh my God, I am in love. Yeah. So anywho, they're releasing that tonight, and then also they've got some physics updates, tire model updates, which is a big deal. Cool, I think.
Yep.
Next up, though, which is really exciting. So this is where... All right, so sim racing is obviously trying to become closer and closer to real racing.
Yep.
And this is the first that I'm aware of where a piece of sim equipment is actually the same exact item used on a real race car. Not like using a Momo wheel with nothing to it. I'm not talking about that.
Yep.
But this is a real GT3 wheel that Fanatec built in conjunction with BMW for the M4 Gt3 car.
Correct. But the thing about this wheel in particular is that you can take this wheel and plug it into the BMW GT3 car.
Right.
You can pop it out of the real GT3 car and attach it to your Fanatic wheelbase right there and go sim racing with it. It's not a different piece of hardware between the two.
That's
it's the same
exact
piece of hardware.
It even has the same... I don't want to screw up what the electronics are called, but it's all the... I should know this. I'm in the business. But anyway, the CAN bus or whatever, it talks to the car and it talks to the sim using the same software, which is like makes my head explode because I'm like, how does that even make sense?
Yeah.
So clearly there's a lot going on. It's always cool to me to figure out like what a real wheel looks like because I don't know about you. I've never driven a GT3 car, but it's 310 millimeters wide. It's got a hand clutch. So you can, I don't actually know what they're using it for other than just maybe in the pits because it's not like they have a dual stage clutch.
Yeah, it's just pits.
So it's got to be just pits.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. They've got backup lights. I mean, you can see all the different encoders and you can kind of figure for yourself.
Yeah.
Brake bias, probably TC on a few of them.
And the thing is like
mapping.
you can buy sim racing wheels that'll do all this stuff.
Yeah, we've got them.
Once again, the difference is you can plug this into the real race car.
Well, this is going to be a way more durable. It's going to offer the same exact feel of a real car. It's going to have the same weight, same exact size.
It's
the real thing.
Wheel. Right.
And it's not going to break. Like I was just telling you, I broke my little thumb encoder because I crashed.
Yeah.
Crashing in a sim is scary.
Well, for you, because you crank this.
I do, yeah. You got to crank it
wheel.
up, man. You got to make it scared. They've actually since fixed that. Now, iRacing, when you crash, it kills the force feedback.
Really?
Yeah, which I like. I mean, it's
okay.
It was kind of cool though. But if you ever let your girlfriend or like a kid or something use it, you kill them. So here's the
kill them.
I really wanted this wheel because I love the M4 GT car.
Yeah.
I like the idea because I'm big into sim racing. And then everyone's like, it's going to cost $5,000. And I'm like, no. They're going to release it at a normal price of like $600 because everyone's like $5,000 because I'm sure a real GT3 wheel normally would cost $5,000. But I'm like, no way is Fanatec. They're really middle grade in the sim market. They're not even considered premium like some of the stuff. Do you know the price on this?
I haven't, and I've heard it's
it's a lot, but it's not because it depends on what.
Well, I've heard it's reasonable. So what is the number for this?
All right, it's enough for me to say I want it, but no. Because at the end of the day, I don't have a GT3 car to put it on.
Okay.
It's $1,400. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous.
I think so. They had me at $700. I could have splurged. You know what I mean? Even that is a huge ask.
It's just the rim, right?
I know. Well, it's.
I know it's got some smarts in it, but you need to hook it up to a base.
Talk, man. Yeah, you got to hook it up to the base, but it comes with that new quick release, which is an automotive grade. It's the actual like quick release system, not like what this has now. So it's literally, but it's yet to be determined. I mean, does it really make a damn bit? I think it's probably just a marketing thing. You know what I mean? It's a synergy between sim racing and real racing, which is really good though, because a lot of people are now becoming real racers, Jimmy Broadband and stuff, that never would normally have because of stuff like this. So I think it's cool, but I'm saddened because unless I get a really big bonus, not looking like that, 'cause, national global pandemic. I wish it was just national. All right, let's look at Automobilista 2.
Yes, you skipped over a tab.
I did because there was nothing there but photos.
Okay.
So Automobilista 2 is another recent. It's actually not recent anymore. It's been out for 2 years. They keep making updates, and this
2 years at this point.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. So
this
is positive. I was just reading this. So this is Riza, however you pronounce it.
Yep.
They're responsible for R Factor 2, which was like the holy grail of.
No, they're not.
R Factor 2?
No.
Dude, that was always considered, other than iRacing, that was like the holy grail.
But Riza's not responsible for it.
I thought they were.
No.
Who was?
Riza makes Automobilista 2.
But they...
Studio 397 makes R Factor 2.
I don't think
back
so.
In the day,
you sure?
Yes. Back in the day, the guys who made R Factor were...
Maybe it's the guys, though. Maybe it's the same people. Maybe they switched.
No. These guys that make Automobilista 2 are Brazilian. That's why they made Brazilian stock car games before they made Automobilista.
That is true. I remember that.
Yep.
Well, this is good, though. We can have some people that can comment and actually correct us.
Yeah.
Because I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, Riza's well known in the community. Oh, I should have
Yes.
mentioned. So Assetto Corsa has Kunos, okay? So Kunos are the developers for
Assetto
ACC.
Corsa.
The developers for iRacing is just iRacing, I think.
iRacing, yep.
Which is actually local, which is really cool.
I
had
know.
no idea. I wish I knew how to code and get a job with them.
Yeah, me too.
Go meet Dale Earnhardt Jr. again.
Yeah. Fix the tire model.
I'm
trying.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is I shit on that. I hated iRacing, and now it's like all I drive because even though the force feedback sucks, it's the only sim, and Rick, if you ever get into it, that resembles racing to a degree, I think, where the cars actually react like you would expect in real life, I guess.
Okay.
They're predictable, where some of this other stuff, like I was saying earlier, ACC and even Automobilista, they call them canned effects, where, say you're understeering and your sim wheel just all of a sudden loses all its force feedback, goes light. Like,
yeah.
I get what they're trying to do, but that's a canned effect. Or you're going over a rumble strip and it feels like like very it's like fake. Like all I care about feeling is just the stuff
what comes through the steering column.
Yeah, pretty much. Like exactly. Like seat of the pants is something that they claim is missing. First of all, it's missing in every simulator because of the G-forces.
Right.
But it's particularly missing in iRacing because they don't artificially add it like these others.
No, iRacing just does simulate what comes through the
right,
column,
and it's really cool.
That's why when
it feels very one-to-one when
that's why when you go over curbs in iRacing, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense. But then the rest of the time you're driving on a flat road or any of the road really, it's just kind of like because the wheel isn't doing weird things to simulate G-forces, simulate loss of grip, simulate that kind of stuff because it doesn't happen through the steering column in reality. And
if you, for the karters out there, if you've ever gone off track or you've, what do they call that? Like if you get up on basically the tires are almost not touching the ground because you're on some type of uneven surface. You know what I'm describing? Like it happens in Formula 1 a lot. Like the floor pan just kind of like is now lifted a little because you're on curbing or something or uneven.
Sure. Yeah.
Nonetheless, that feeling you get in real life, it matches like if you're in like a Formula car in iRacing, like perfectly. It's crazy. Like you can hear it and you can feel it and you have like no control and then you got to kind of get off the curbing or off the grass and then you got to regain.
Yep.
Kind of reminds me of New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It's like that. If you get off the track, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Then you're kind of along for a ride for a little bit.
Yeah. But apparently this physics overhaul that they've been talking about is they're redoing the limited slip differential, redoing the tire model. There's even a video where they show like side by side, and you get less of that. Like in sim racing, you oftentimes get this feeling of like where you're sawing, like you turn All right, and you're turning, you're making the turn, then you're not, and you're pointing this way, and then you're that way, and it's like that on-off. Remember Project Cars? Like that had it really bad?
Yeah.
You get that type of feeling, but they're trying, with these improvements, they're kind of limiting that. Supposedly. These all get released like tomorrow. So pretty cool. Yeah, there'll be a lot of action. I mean,
I put a lot of money into Automobilista when I bought the USA pack, and they've only released one half of it or 1/3 of it, and I paid for all 3 parts. Ooh, those are some cool cars.
Look at. So I think.
What's what?
So that's what I'm wondering. Yeah, exactly.
If you get the cursor off the video, I bet you that'll tell us. No, I still don't know what's what. What's before, what's after?
I'm gonna guess the green is the new.
You think so? Can we even be showing this right now?
I don't know.
Did Riza give us permission to show them their video? Maybe if you talk over it and it has the white border and the rest of,
I don't know. I was watching this and I was like, it looks pretty cool, but I can't really tell. The graphs look the same.
The steering's slightly different.
It is. But the whole point. Let's turn that off. All right. So the whole point, though, was that you get less of that.
Nice.
You get less of that seesaw-y effect.
Okay, yes.
Yeah,
the pendulum effect.
The pendulum effect. Thank you. That's the word. Where it's like this weird feeling, which
you just go, whoa.
You don't get that in real life.
No, but I mean, we don't get it in the karts because the kart's really easy to.
Karts don't either. You're right, because they're very direct, and you're right. You need to be driving a full body car. But if you ever taken a car on a track, or even what's that? Right in Rhode Island, the place that we've been to down there.
Autocross?
Yeah, that high-speed autocross. You'll get that feeling where like you'll lose grip, and you can make corrections, but the car's not going to start darting everywhere, because as long as you have no grip, you make all the corrections you want. You settle the car, and then you're good. Yeah. Now, obviously, if it's gripping and you make a correction, you're
yeah, you can overcorrect and then
I've done that.
Spinning the other way. I've done it too. I did it
Who hasn't done that?
I did it in the Miata when I took it out to that autocross. There was one time where I got super sideways one direction, countersteered, and just went whoop, and then looped it the other way.
So yeah, you got to keep your foot in the throttle, I guess, if you're gonna.
I mean, a little bit of throttle, but it's mostly just don't countersteer too much, and then expect it to whip back and countersteer the other direction.
Right. Yeah, I don't.
You don't want to keep the foot mashed with a rear-wheel drive car anyway, only because the rear end is going to slip and you're going to spin.
Right. Yeah, I've never been good at drifting or anything of this sort. I always have to keep it under that.
Yeah.
Once I get into that situation, I'll be honest, I get a little scared.
You do?
In a car, I do, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because once I lose... So it's funny. I feel like in a car, I'm fast until I lose control. I think I just tend to panic. Like, it's one of the things I had to overcome even in karting was that initial... You lose it, and then you kind of like overcorrect and just you panic. Then you got to calm down. I've gotten to that level with a kart, but in a car, I'm not losing control of a car often enough.
I guess not.
Not yet.
I'm too much of a hooligan, and over the years I've done some silly things. So
yeah, well, I grew up with a Mustang, so I was mainly just whipping donuts and.
I grew up with trucks. I would take my trucks out in the snow and do stuff.
Yeah, snow.
Ask Ismar. One time we were driving in the rain, and on an off ramp, I got sideways in the Colorado, my old truck, and I scared the shit out of him. And I was just like,
Yeah. I mean, you kind of puckered up my butthole a little bit when we were driving in the Miata.
Last
summer.
I got you just a teeny bit sideways.
Yeah,
in the Miata.
My whole thing is on the street anyway. Is that you don't know what's on the street.
It's dumb.
On a racetrack. It's
it's dumb. It's not something I should be proud of. But it happens every once in a while.
So. Like all these podcasts, they all end with me reminiscing about when are we going to go see a freaking Formula One race live.
I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
I say if you guys want to go to Miami, go for it. I'm a little on the fence. I'm hoping for obviously Montreal. I would love that.
I mean, I'm hoping that
it would feel like a homecoming. It would just be like this place again.
Like Miami would be fun for the experience, but you're going to pay a lot of money, and really, I don't think you're going to get a great F1 experience. I think you're just going to be in Miami, which is cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a good party. That's what it's going to be.
Which is not the worst thing. Just saying.
But like, I'm too much of a dork and a nerd about F1 to want to go and see a bad race. You know what I mean? I don't.
But wait a second.
None of us even know if it's gonna be a bad race, but like it's a street course.
But it's. I don't know. It's kind of like Long Beach. I've always wanted to go to. I know this is a different sport, but I've always wanted to go there.
Yeah, but Long Beach is cool. It's
Famous,
It's a proven road track. You know what I mean? So is Montreal technically. That's public roads for the most part.
And Montreal has a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
A lot of hooliganism.
It's so well set up. The train to go from the city where you're staying to the racetrack is so easy.
Which I know we've already discussed Cotta, but that was a disaster getting from a track and to the town.
Good race though.
Yeah.
We missed a good one. That's actually it was funny. I was talking to Elias about the last podcast, and he's like, "You barely talked about Coda." I'm like, "Oh yeah, we really didn't." But it was a good race, and we were supposed to go see it.
Should have had him on virtually. I never even thought to.
Yeah, that would be fun. The last time we did the virtual podcast, it went okay. The audio came out pretty all right, but remember we had to screw with the audio to get it.
If anybody wants to join us, please join us. Either here on the couch or virtually.
Here on the couch is preferable, only because I know how to produce that. I still got to figure out how to produce the video and audio over Discord, and make it all sound nice, because it sounds kind of rough at the moment when I try. But yeah.
Well, that's gonna be it till the next one.
Bit of a short one.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's a work night, man.
It is a work night. Maybe that's why I've had some days these last few days at work. So
yeah. Got to travel. Got to. Actually, I don't have to do shit. I love it. So you know what? If you can do what I do and just bring booze to the party for Thanksgiving, you're winning. So, that's my contribution. All right, I'm Charlie.
I am Alex. And
this is Formula Hooligan.
This is Formula Hooligan, episode dozen. Yay.
See you next time.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Adios.
Bam.